Hello, I am Rebecca from Erie, Pennsylvania, and I am 34 years old. I work in healthcare, specifically as a respiratory therapist and ECMO specialist. In terms of how my childhood impacted my decision to be child-free, I was raised around children and helped raise my sisters when my parents were working. I'm the eldest of three girls. My youngest sister was favored, and I experienced a lot of neglect. At the time, I didn't understand that it was neglect. I thought it was freedom, since my parents didn't care where I went. I enjoyed the freedom and still do, so I don't want to impede that. The first time I thought I might not want kids was when I was 6, and looking at my mom trying to take care of 3 small children when she was home. No time for yourself, children constantly wanting you. All I wanted was to be left alone. My mom also told me childbirth hurts, and I immediately went, no thank you. There are several small things every day that solidified my decision to be child-free. Children screaming, children breaking things, the sleepless nights, and thinking, thank God I don't have to deal with that. My husband babysat his nibblings when my brother-in-law and his baby mama were going to have their 3rd kid. While babysitting, he was texting me throughout the whole thing, absolutely regretting saying that he'd babysit. I was laughing. I've never felt the so-called motherly instinct. Constant children's noises send me into sensory overload, which started with my sisters making those noises when they were babies. I've been married for a decade, so dating hasn't been hard for me personally. I know a lot of child-free women who run into a lot of men who think they want kids, but then they break up because the man didn't listen. It's always refreshing to see and hear stories of the men finally getting what they want and then they regret it. You made your bed, buddy. Lie in it. Personally, I don't see marriage as meaningful, but that's because of life experiences, not because of being child-free. I saw plenty of people cheat on their spouse while rattling off sanctity of marriage bullshit, as well as domestic abuse, emotional abuse, and financial abuse. Divorce is expensive and can be messy, so I want people to just say, yeah, we're done. I'm moving out. I got a hysterectomy in 2020 at the age of 30, and I found my doctor from the child-free friendly doctors list. But I live in the USA, so because of the political climate, I encourage people to get sterilized as soon as possible, especially women. I've never felt any regrets. Other children are a wonderful birth control. Anytime I get an inkling of doubt, I look at my bank accounts and realize that all that work I've done to secure myself a future would be halved at the bare minimum. I've never had anyone take care of me, and it was always up to me to survive and care for myself. I've been preaching about not wanting kids my whole life, and when I was younger, my family was way more supportive. My aunts told me to focus on my education and were proud of me. Then I got a hysterectomy and they said, "Whoa, you were serious?" I get bingoed a lot by other people, and because I look younger than I do, genetics and lack of stress, I get a lot of people saying, well, when you're in your 20s, 30s, you'll regret it. I then say I'm 34, and they're stunned. If it continues, I break out I got a hysterectomy. That usually shuts them up. I've gotten a few that went kind of catatonic, like they didn't realize that not having kids was an option. My frustrations with this lifestyle are that it's not more mainstream and there's so much pushback. I never thought people could be so brainwashed as not to question alternative lifestyles. I'm also frustrated that other people don't think about having kids more seriously, thinking, oh, if it happens, it happens. There's a stereotype about child-free people that we're bitter people who hate children. We aren't bitter, and we care a lot about children, often more than their parents. I work in pediatrics about half the time, and even working in the ER will show you that most parents don't care about their children at all. If it weren't for CPS or facing legal consequences, the child death rate would skyrocket because parents just wouldn't take their kids to the ER, and the literacy rate would tank because parents don't want to put in the effort to take their kids to school. I have friends who are teachers, and they say the same things. When you work with kids, you see many people who shouldn't be within 20 feet of children. If anybody is facing a breakup over this, I would say they dodged a cannonball. If your spouse wants kids, just break up then and there. I feel really bad for those who got married, and then 5, 10, 15 years in, the spouse says they want kids. Then it's a whole expensive divorce process. What brings me most joy in this lifestyle is the freedom. I once went to NYC to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child with 48 hours' notice. On Tuesday, my friend called me, and by Thursday, I was in NYC. I can live where I want, do what I want, watch what I want, and not have to consider someone else in the equation.